In the past few days, a new piece of footage began circulating online, spreading faster than anyone expected. The clip allegedly shows Diddy inside prison, but not in the way people had been led to believe. For months, the dominant narrative was that he was comfortable, confident, even relaxed. Stories claimed he was sipping wine, mentoring inmates, and treating incarceration like a temporary inconvenience. But the footage tells a different story. The man in the video doesn't look untouchable. He looks tense. His movements seem guarded.
Things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you, listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to Tupac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
His expression doesn't reflect power or control, but alertness, as if he's constantly watching what's happening around him. That alone caused the internet to do a complete reversal. People began replaying the clip, slowing it down, pointing out every detail, the body language, the hesitation, the lack of ease. Suddenly, the question wasn't whether Diddy was doing well in prison, but whether he felt safe at all. And once that question surfaced, another followed right behind it. If he's scared, what exactly is he scared of?
The Quad Studio
Whenever Tupac Shakur's name resurfaces, the hip-hop world doesn't treat it like history. It treats it like unfinished business. Decades have passed, yet the emotions tied to his death remain raw, unresolved, and deeply personal for many. Over the years, Diddy's name has repeatedly found its way into those conversations, not through court rulings, but through whispers, interviews, and long-standing suspicions. The East Coast-West Coast feud wasn't just about music charts or record sales. It was fueled by pride, loyalty, and real street tension. Diddy, as one of the most powerful figures on the East Coast, stood firmly on one side of that divide. With the leaked prison footage now going viral, people began connecting dots all over again. To some, this wasn't just about a man behind bars. It was about old resentment that never faded. The belief that certain people never forgot, never forgave, and were simply waiting for the right moment. And suddenly, it felt like the past wasn't buried anymore.
Jimmy Henchman told them that they finna teach Pac a lesson. Because Pac had owed him some money. So that's why he was up in the studio and was coming to the studio. Pac owed him some money. He was gonna work it off and get some money from doing a song with Lil Sean. And that's what that was about. But Pac was talking greasy to Jimmy Henchman, and Jimmy Henchman wasn't the type of dude that you talk greasy to, allegedly. Unless you're 50 Cent.
So Diddy knew what was going to happen to Pac?
He knew Pac was about to deal well, yeah. He was there to see it. He was there to see it. He wasn't only there to see Big them. When Jimmy Henchman told him that, he was there to see what's going to happen to Pac. He was there for that. Because had he not been there for that, he would have went up there in the office. He would have went to the studio or the studio session with Big them. He would have went to that studio session with Big them. He knew what room Big them was in. He didn't do that. He was there to see what was going to happen to Pac after Jimmy told him. And that's factual.
Gene says this lines up with what...
That's where Gene Deal enters the conversation. Not as a commentator, but as someone who was close enough to the situation to speak with authority. When Gene talked, he didn't sound dramatic. He sounded concerned. He openly warned that Diddy's presence in certain environments could put him in real danger. According to Gene, this wasn't paranoia. It was about geography, history, and memory. Brooklyn, he said, isn't just a place. It's a reminder of grudges that never expired and people who still believe justice was never served. He suggested that some individuals still associate Diddy with things they feel were never answered for, and in that world, belief alone can be dangerous. Gene made it clear that fear doesn't always come from what's happening now, but from what was left unresolved years ago. When people heard this, the leaked footage suddenly made sense. The tension wasn't about prison rules, it was about who might be watching.
He feels like, Diddy was behind Pac murder.
Yeah. If Diddy played a part in that stuff, like he said, Kirk know where the money came from. I'ma say this. They tried to, if you talk about the Vegas trip and the whole 9 yards, Kirk said that he paid for people to drive out to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? He said he paid for people to drive out of Vegas. I was heavily with Bad Boy at that time. I don't remember that part of it. You understand? I don't remember that part of it. But if Kirk knew and he was paying for people to drive out to Vegas in the whole 9 yards, it's hard to hide $1 million, brother. You ain't going to cash that in the check cashing place. You signing that over to somebody. I said 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times again. Eric Von Zip showed me and my man Boondang, AKA my man Slick, a check for $1 million. We don't know, and everybody trying to say, lying, talking about half of it got paid, 500. I don't know. I know when I asked him about, we asked him, do we ask? No, we didn't ask him. I know when he showed us a check and he walked away after he showed us the check for the $1 million, you understand?
To understand why those fears exist, you have to go back to one night in 1994 at Quad Studios in New York City. Tupac walked into that building expecting a regular studio session. Instead, he was robbed and shot multiple times. He survived, but something else didn't: his trust. From that moment forward, Tupac believed he had been set up, or at the very least, that people around him knew more than they admitted. He never directly accused Diddy in a legal sense, but his words carried weight. He spoke about having opinions he wouldn't reveal and knowledge he chose to keep to himself. That silence spoke louder than any accusation. As time passed, that night became the foundation of everything that followed.
In 1997, who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage.
As the story evolved, attention began shifting toward money and power. Several individuals claimed that Diddy may have had prior knowledge of what was going to happen to Tupac that night. Not that he pulled a trigger, but that he knew trouble was coming and didn't intervene. That idea alone changed the conversation, because knowing and allowing can be just as damaging as acting. Some alleged that financial motives were involved, pointing to debts, favors, and behind-the-scenes agreements. Others focused on alleged checks and transactions, arguing that money always leaves a trail. Even decades later, records don't simply disappear. None of this has been proven in court, but repeated claims from different people began to stack up, and when allegations start overlapping, they create pressure, even without verdicts.
A guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah,
He
and
said
he even
that.
said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a higher or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you
They
the
said he
same
was a
thing.
dirty motherfucker.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as
They
well.
said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody cross you. You're the last one to know every fucking thing. Even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Diddy has denied all of it. In July,
That pressure exploded in September 2023 when Keefe D was arrested in connection with Tupac's murder. For the first time in decades, the case felt alive again. What followed made things even more intense. Old interviews resurfaced, previously undisclosed documents were referenced, and once again, Diddy's name appeared in the conversation. Reports claimed that Keefe D had previously said Diddy offered money to eliminate Tupac and Suge Knight. Federal documents allegedly echoed similar statements. To be clear, these remain allegations. Diddy has never been charged, and Keefe D has pleaded not guilty. But the fact that these claims are now part of official filings changed everything. Suddenly, theories felt closer to reality than ever before.
I seen an interview that Puffy did with Fat Joe where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA, and he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA, he actually wanted to go to London, but Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true. My name is Kirk Burroughs. I ran Bad Boy Entertainment. I helped co-found it. I created the company with him. I raised from general manager to president. And at that time, I put all of those business plans together. And Biggie didn't want to go to LA, ended up going. What got him out there was a week ahead of time to ease him into the whole award show. He may not have wanted to go to London, but was talked into it. First time ever, a rapper of your stature getting this treatment, that would be something he would be interested in doing, but he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night, a part of the posturing of not only did we come to the award show, not only am I recording my album out here, and Big is gonna help me with some of the writing and maybe do something out here where me and him did this song in LA. I'm out on the town. And it was just too much.
Meanwhile, people close to Tupac continued speaking out. Some claimed he carried deep resentment after Quad Studios. They said he believed the East Coast had turned its back on him. That belief followed him to the West Coast, where alliances shifted and hostility intensified. Letters, interviews, and conversations suggested Tupac saw the situation as more than music. To him, it was personal. That mindset fueled the feud and escalated tensions beyond repair. Fast forward to the present, and 50 Cent's involvement adds a new dynamic. By allegedly
My perceptions have changed slightly, gradually over time. Today, I look at Diddy with through a different lens than I might have 10, 15 years ago. There were obviously some early red flags, but it's a complicated thing because we have to be very careful about falsely accusing people or even, making accusations based on nothing more than speculation. And we just haven't seen all the evidence. So I prefer to kind of withhold judgment on some things. I can tell you regarding Diddy back when Tupac, Shakur, and Biggie Smalls were murdered. He wasn't exactly cooperative. He didn't do what you would assume a friend or, a manager, so to speak, would do. So from a law enforcement perspective, he was very unhelpful in an area where he ought to have been contributing towards getting some type of justice in those two murder cases.
We need people to put people out here that's doing shit like this, that's taking from people's families, that's beating women, This drugging women. I ain't got a problem with it. Let's go to war. Bruh, first of all, they're gonna try to get his baby mama stories, you know. They're gonna try to get 50 baby mama stories. They're gonna try to get girls that he probably dated, that he had problems and issues with and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to do the same thing they probably did to R. Kelly or Puff or whatever like that, and people tell their stories. You understand? But, you know, they trying to retaliate on what he did. Let him go ahead, bruh. Because I think he ready for it. You don't do this shit, and you don't do the stuff that he did or sign on to the stuff that he did with Puff. Unless you got your shit in order. Don't throw no stone if you live in a glass house. Don't throw no stone if you live in a glass house. I believe 50 ready for it. If they come at him any kind of way. I heard that Diddy is trying to sue Netflix for $1 billion. Ain't nothing came up in court. That's just talk, bro. No paperwork has been put in and signed into that. They're gonna have to have a reason. If they were suing him and he had enough reason, why they didn't cease and desist the thing? Huh? If he had a leg to stand on, why they didn't cease and desist the documentary? That's just people talking. Headline news. Because had it been filed in court and they had a leg to stand on, they'd have been bringing that stuff down. Oh, we can't show it no more.
Now, with 50 Cent allegedly leaking footage and openly fueling public discussion, the story has entered a new phase. Some see it as revenge. Others see it as exposure. Either way, the timing feels intentional. Diddy continues to deny all allegations, and legally he remains uncharged in both murders. But reputation doesn't operate on legal standards. In hip-hop culture, perception can be just as powerful as proof. With old wounds reopening and new evidence being discussed, the question isn't just about guilt or innocence anymore. It's about whether the truth will ever fully surface, and if it does, who it will ultimately protect and who it will finally expose.